Good morning or afternoon, whenever you're watching this video. I'll try and keep it as snappy as I can as I look at the Galway Plate, one of the highlights of the summer jumping season. It looks sure to be fast and furious, a few hard luck stories, no doubt. And with the long run in after the last, where plenty can change, I have gone for three. Black Courton, Peregrine Run, and one for the bottom from Willie Mullins. Pile on the pressure. Where should I start? Black Courton. Top weights don't have the best of records in this, but I thought there was enough there at 14 to 1. And Paul Nicholls generally doesn't come over here for the holiday. What did I want to say about Black Courton? And I don't think he's had a runner in this race for a while, but has won it before. The question is his handicap. Well, let's start with the fact that he should race prominently. If I look at the pace map here, as always, I'm within ggs.co.uk, which is my main set of kind of race cards and analysis tools. He should be front rank. Bryony can track the pace, and it wouldn't surprise me if she lets something else go on, and she kind of sits in third and fourth. And you can see from the map up here, albeit that's from only kind of 7 renewals, not many have led, but being prominent generally is the place to be over this course of distance, over fences in these kind of big field races. So she should be prominent enough on Black Courton. Peregrine Run, when he last ran in a handicap chase and won, raced prominently on the inner. He was kind of 4th and 5th, and I hope Kevin Sexton does the same and doesn't have him too far back. And pile on the pressure. Interesting, they raced him kind of at the back on that last start, near the rear, and raced wide all the way. I'll get onto him in a moment. He may be more patiently ridden. We shall see what they do with him. They may keep him wide again, which isn't necessarily a bad thing here, but of course it means you lose a bit of ground, but I'll get onto him in a moment. So Black Courton, well, if I just open him up here, as I tick around at 2.5 minutes, he's very, very consistent. He loiters around the same mark, really, and yes, he's on a career high mark, but being 8, they've ran him plenty. I'm not 100% confident in saying he doesn't have any improvement to come. If I look at some of his Racing Post ratings here, figures of 165, 161, 160. I mean, he's generally very, very consistent. Those figures would indicate that actually there may be a little bit to work with a 158. He's not a true Grade 1 horse, but he is a very, very good handicapper and a very classy horse on his day. I don't really have a problem with the big field. I think he's generally run in small fields because that's the races they've targeted. If I look back, he was in cracking form at the kind of back end or the second half of the last jump season, being beaten by decent horses. I mean, Top Notch is a decent animal, and he was beaten 5 lengths by him, possibly on a track that didn't suit. He was staying on and doing his best work a bit late, having got tapped for toe. Calypto is over 24 furlongs and slightly softer ground. I'm not sure in a properly run race he fully sees that out, although of course he has stayed it before, as you can see down here. But there was kind of no harm in defeat there. That was a decent run, and he had been busy enough up to that point, I suppose. He went to Kelso, where both of Nicholls' runners on the day that were odds on ran flat. They had no explanation. Maybe they didn't enjoy the journey up or something. He wasn't beaten far, but he was a bit flat there. But they then freshened him up, and he came back to Sandown and kind of obliterated a rather decent field and hacked up there before. And I think after that race, this Galway Plate was probably penciled in. And they then ran him at Ascot, Royal Ascot, in the flat race there. I would like to think as a prep for this, but he was a bit outpaced, and well, he's not a flat horse, but that should have set him up with any luck perfectly for this. He's one of only 3 horses to hit my trends on this. I'll get on to the other 2, which I've left for tipping purposes. He hits all my 10 from 10 stats, so we'll see if they hold or not. I actually came to the conclusion that class may win the day in this race. In any case, with any luck, he runs his race. He's consistent. He's a very good jumper. He always tries his hardest. Whether or not he can shoulder 11 stone 10 and beat off this field We Should See, but at 14 to 1. I wanted to roll the dice and take the chance, and in theory I should get a run for my money. Everything looks set up perfectly for him here. The ground is good, the trip looks ideal, the track should be fine, and may suit, I think. Hopefully he might be leading after the last and can just gallop away. Peregrine Run, 16 to 1, I decided was just a bit too big really for a horse who's in the form of his life. He needs decent ground, and he gets it here. He is a good ground horse. There's been excuses for the other times he's run at Galway, including in this race last year where I think the ground went against him. But he's just running very, very well. His last handicap chase at Ballinrobe, which is similar to Galway, kind of right-handed, fairly tight, fairly sharp. Relatively. Yes, that was off 150. 157 is a career high mark again, but he's just in the form of his life. He has kind of bettered that with a Racing Post rating of 158 here. That was, as I said, Ballinrobe. The front 2 miles clear, beating Pile on the Pressure, who I'll get onto in a moment. And one of the reasons for going with him, I was kind of weighing up all three, whether or not to dump one of them, but I've decided to fire 3 darts. He then has kind of won comfortably, and they've kept him on the go and kind of conditions chases, conditions hurdles. And if anything, that's protected his mark or has assured he hasn't blown it. Kind of second and third clear weights in this race have a decent record and have won before. I just thought he was in the form of his life. He's sure to run his race. He generally jumps well, he gallops, he stays well. He should hopefully, if they do what they did at Ballinrobe, he'll race prominently enough. They won't hold him up out the back. And I just wanted to be with the informed horse who just looks solid. He looks very solid. He arguably looks the most solid horse in the race. And as such, I thought 16 to 1 was decent. That's in the context that I was struggling to find anything in this that could be thrown in or that could be way ahead of their handicap mark. And there's quite a lot of these that can be a bit dodgy at their fences. The one horse that may be thrown in, I think, other than the Gordon Elliott favourite, which I'll touch on in a moment, is Pile on the Pressure for Willie Mullins, who is in superb form, as you can see here. He's already had a winner or two at this festival already. Still annoyed at missing his 28 to 1 into 8 to 1 2-mile flat handicap winner on day 1, which was annoying, but we have to move on from that. This horse is unexposed over fences. He seemed to, well, his last run was his best run over fences. It was his best round of jumping. He kind of cruised into it. He possibly hit the front too soon and was just overhauled by Peregrine Run. He's obviously got nothing on his back here. I'm pretty sure, I mean, he's been put up £5, but I should think, you'd like to think he's going to be better than a 136 handicapper at some stage. He gets Danny Mullins on, who has at least ridden him before. I'd have liked Paul Townend, but I'm not 100% sure he can do the weight. And actually, let me just look at that. If I just click on the 720 in the Racing Post, if it loads, always a bit slow when these videos are recording, I want to find where Paul Townend is. I should have looked at this before. I looked at it earlier. I'm not 100% sure why he's not on. Oh no, so that theory is out the water. He could have done the weight. I suspect the other theory is they obviously like York Hill as a horse, and he is a bit of a dodgy jumper. So it makes sense that they have their best #1 jumps jockey on him in this. So that might be as simple as that. So I won't overthink that, but Danny Mullins is decent enough and actually rides okay around here as well. But yes, he's just unexposed. He's obviously from a powerful yard that have won this race before, placed plenty of times in the race. And I just thought he was the one. They might ride him a bit closer. They might be patient with him. They might keep him out wide. But if he can jump well enough and get it all together, 11 to 1's maybe on the borderline, but it's a double figure price. Like I said, given the connections, given his overall profile, the good ground looks to be important to him. He stays well enough, and I just thought he was very interesting. 64 days off, this is, you would like to think, has clearly been the plan and penciled in, and he should be tuned up to the minute for this. So those are the three that I wanted to go for. There was nothing else really at the prices. I should mention the other two on my kind of 10 from 10 stats shortlist are Azuri. I just don't think he'll stay. I mean, stamina is the massive question. He looks a 16, 17 furlong horse, and I wasn't sure I'd seen much evidence that he's going to get much further. He'll be prominent, he'll jump well generally. If he does see this out, he could have plenty in hand, although he's been whacked £12 from the last day. That race has worked out well, but he seemed to be one of the few that skipped along on what was pretty much good to firm ground at Ayr. So yeah, he's a possible danger if he stays, but I'm just not sure he will. So that was enough for me to put a line through him. Poker Party is the other on the list. Henry de Bromhead knows how to win this race. He's in form, as you can see here. 5 from 17, 8 places the last 14 days. They're going well. Here's the one bigger price one I fear I may have got wrong. I might just put some change just for fun. But my head said I think the handicapper may have him. He got beaten 18 lengths at Punchestown. That wasn't a good race. The front couple there were kind of rated in the low 150s, but then again, I've gone for a couple here that are rated in the high 150s. He just seemed to be outclassed a bit. Maybe stiff. That stiff track at Punchestown didn't suit him. He's no doubt been aimed and kept fresh for this, and he should be tuned up, although he doesn't have a brilliant record after a break necessarily. He was, I suppose, looking progressive before that last run at Punchestown. So you could give a case. I just thought I've gone with a couple that are classier and one below him that could be better than his mark. I wasn't 100% sure 138 was thrown in, and he might get tapped for toe at a certain stage around here. We'll see. I wouldn't be surprised. In the end, I suppose those four were kind of the four on my short list, and I picked 3 of them, and hopefully I don't live to regret not going with Poker Party. I was quite happy to leave everything else. There's plenty of hold-up horse in here. York Hill has a touch of class, of course. He just can't jump. If he gets it all together, and he can jump well, he could be a danger, and if he did kind of ever get it together over fences off 154, given some of his better, classier runs, he could blow this lot away. But he has a few too many questions in the jumping stakes in a big field like this, as do plenty of others. Some of these need a lot further. Heron Heights is a kind of 10-year-old. I wasn't sure to the level of this victory. I backed a horse in that race who was going to win, I think, but he clouded the last. No, he got taken out at the last or 2 out by a loose horse. I was happy to leave Heron Heights. Yeah, really, there wasn't much else. Snugsborough Benny's interesting. He could have more to come. He doesn't look in the best of form, and Dennis O'Regan will hold him up near the back, I think, and try and come with a late run and kind of single figures. Given his overall profile, and there may be better handicap ones now, I was happy to leave. He has to prove that off that mark. Willie Mullins has another one here, who I think is, yeah, the jumping. Again, this is another one whose jumping puts me off. Again, she has to prove that she stays. She is unexposed over fences, another who will race prominently and race up there, but she can hit a fence. And yeah, did fall last time she was racing over fences. Yeah, I was a bit put off by her jumping, but she is another who's kind of unexposed, I suppose. I'll mention Barra for Gordon Elliott, who generally, well, he's had a win already here this week, actually. He hasn't done that well at the meeting, 5 from 100 odd, or was before this year in the last 5 years. But he has won the Galway Plate a couple of times. She was going to hack up at Kilbeggan 12 days ago, but took an almightily heavy fall at the last. I just worry in this big field, her running style, normally patient. Connections won't know how she's going to react after that heavy fall. 14 to 1, you can make a case. She was running there as if she's well handicapped. I've no doubt she'll get it together over fences at some point, but this is a competitive big field race where there's obviously a premium on jumping and kind of being a natural at your fences. And given how heavy that fall was, I was a bit put off. But I suppose Barra, at the prices you could add on, kind of 5th on the list of the interesting ones. If she gets it all together and jumps well, and that hasn't affected her mentally, you could see her running a big race. And Mark Enright won this race last year when riding for Gordon Elliott, so maybe they'll bring up another. I was happy to take on Boris at 8 to 1. I can't quite work out his price. I know he's hacked up in a couple of nothing races at Uttoxeter and Perth. This doesn't have his French form in. He has won over fences and is quite experienced over fences actually in France. Maybe I've got him completely wrong. He's going to be the thoroughly unexposed one. He is one of the other few in here who should be ahead of this mark over fences at some point. I just had concerns over this hurly-burly nature of quite a high-class chase, and there's a chance he may want much softer ground as well. I didn't really like the jockey booking, given he's won from 59 at Galway in the last 5 years, and when riding for Gordon Elliott in the last couple of years is 0 from 18, one place, and he's kind of not in the best form. So the jockey booking, all of that in context that he's 8 to 1, I thought he was worth taking on, and if he bolts up, then credit to connection. So of course, there's a high chance I may not have even mentioned the winner, but I'll give everything a good going through. And those are the three I wanted on side. It's competitive as always. Don't let me put you off any selection, but I've gone a couple that are classy and could hopefully touch wood out classies and may just have enough in hand to see off the rest. And if an unexposed one with more to come is going to do it, hopefully it's Pile on the Pressure. And he can do the business. Hopefully Poker partly doesn't bolt up, or Barra. They would be the other two at the prices, I suppose. So those 5 are the ones I ended up looking at in most depth, and I've gone for 3 of them. So time will tell whether that's the case. I'm ticking around to 17 minutes, which is probably long enough, but hopefully something of interest there. So yes, best of luck with whatever you are backing. Fingers crossed one of my 3 can go in, but hopefully all runners and riders come back safe, and it's another enjoyable race to watch. So yes, best of luck with anything you're backing, and if following me in, even more so. And yes, with that said, this is Josh saying bye for now, and enjoy the rest of your day.